Welcome everyone back to Anime Secrets Bizarre Adventure, I guess is what we're calling this now.
If you want to.
We need a new name. We are back from our little siesta, and we are doing the double header today, going over episodes 10 and 11 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind. Joining me tonight is the Anthony Davis and the Connor Healy.
Yo.
Howdy. What's good, folks?
Nothing much. All right. So, episode 9, we started kind of the new arc. They retrieved the money, and they got their first assignment from the boss, protecting the daughter. These two episodes, we actually got introduced to the antagonist, the antagonist that they'll be actually fighting on, which looks to be like it's going to be a little longer than the last two guys we had. So let's start with episode 10. What do you guys think about the Hitman team?
I like them.
Yeah, I've been hearing about the Hitman team quite a bit. I really like the character designs. The character designs, I think, are some of the strongest. Rocky always has really good villain designs, and a lot of times they kind of fit the personality.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd see guys like Alessi in 3, and they're just short, ugly weirdos. Like, if someone's a real creep, they're like a short little goblin dude, or if someone's super dangerous, they're like this lean, vampiric. I know that's a pun, Dio and Vanilla and all that stuff. But no, like, you get a feel for the personality of that antagonist, and this one's interesting because we haven't quite, that curly-haired one with the glasses. I really like him.
Oh yeah,
or them, whatever their name is. I like them, and they have pretty interesting motivations. Like, here. So we went, and in the previous thing, there was already a hint. There's people out for the boss.
Mm-hmm.
Giorno this whole time is thinking, oh no, they're already on to me. Shoot, what do I do? But now we have this Hitman team, so maybe they're the ones they were talking about. I don't quite know yet.
No, it's going on their designs. Yeah, they got quite an interesting look to them, for sure, and their motives, like, they were out to get the boss even before they found out he had a daughter. Like, They were trying to get their cut. They're trying to, move up because, hey, in the mafia, you want to make the most money that you can. And if you got to kill a few people along the way, hey, you got to do you. And so these guys were all about that. But in order to do that, they had to find out who the boss was. And even like one small hint of them trying to figure it out, the boss was just like, got 2 of them to send the message out.
Like, oh yeah, no, that couple
quick.
There,
Sorbet and gelato.
No. Ice cream reference.
Needless to say, I guess you could say they got their just desserts.
Oh.
I mean, that's one way to get iced.
Oof.
They already split.
I mean, the boss certainly knew how to break the ice with this dude, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Yeah, we better cut it on these puns and get back to the review. Oh!
Yeah, we need to put it back together.
Oof.
Oh.
Oh gosh. Riz is
You want to choke.
Riz is not going to make it through editing this at all.
You wouldn't want to choke on your aspirations.
Yeah, no. So going on to that though, we see the utter brutality of the mafia.
Yeah, that scene definitely took my breath away.
Yeah, that was pretty nuts. And then so now they're personally out for the boss. So we have some extremely motivated and apparently deadly people. And
deadly.
It's really interesting watching Formaggio do his thing, because man is he cocky, and he's very good at using his stands.
Right?
We're really seeing people using their stands like weapons and not just earlier in JoJo's, you see a lot of people thinking on the fly and like, oh wait, I can do this, I can do that.
Right.
But right now we're seeing people who are really well trained with their stands, who use their stands to make a living because they use them as tools in a gang.
Exactly.
And they're actually really considering what the other person's stand can do and trying to figure out as much as they can.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that point up because, especially in parts 4, I just discovered my stand power. This is how I use it. Like, that's how most of the fights felt. There really wasn't anyone who had used their stand for an extended period of time, save for Jotaro and Kira. Like, those are the only two who had more than just like a couple of weeks experience with their stands. Whereas in this one, to get into Pulpo's version of the game, you have to get a stand. Like, that is your initiation. And so these guys who've been initiated for a while have had plenty of time for their stands, how to use them, how to, expertly kill people with them. Just like Bamagio getting the car shrunken down, throwing it in the drink, and oh man, that.
And making the guy explode from the inside, and then to top it all off, his date also gets crushed by the car as well.
Yeah, that was, oh my goodness. Like, I knew we were probably going to get a little bit more brutal this season because we were dealing with Mafia, but I still get a feeling this is still the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how brutal these guys can get.
Oh, and here's the kicker, guys. This was an anime-only scene. This was not in the manga at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty...
Wow.
Yeah.
David Pro, my hat's off to you.
Yeah. Oh, and the part about like how Sorbet and Gelato got to meet their end. You knew what happened with one of them getting chopped up and whatnot. But they actually did animate the scenes where him getting chopped up like in person, and seeing the other guy just choking on his own gag and like on his own throw up and dying right there and there. That was also animated as well. That was not in the manga either. They talked about it, but they never actually showed you what happened.
It's really kind of interesting. I was talking to my friend about kind of what you gain out of when you convert something to an anime. And it's like when you go to the visual and you get the audio visual thing right there when you're watching it, like, you can really have something have a whole ton of impact, because it's like, yeah, you'll see something nasty, and then you turn the page, and usually, they don't devote so many pages to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that takes what, like a couple seconds. We read and we take in a still image so much faster than we watch something, because we have to process it while we're watching it. So like, watching a particularly gruesome or crazy sequence that wasn't there before, like when you're reading it, you're just like, oh man, I can only imagine how that must have looked. And now in the anime, they're like, oh, you want to see how it looked? Here you go.
Bam.
And it's, JoJo's is a pretty good medium for that. And I like how bold. See, I did not know that so much was being added in.
Yes.
So I like how bold David
man.
Pro is getting, and that it sounds like they're really going to go all out.
And what's so fascinating about this is that like the people that actually killed the two hitmen, they might actually appear later on in the series.
Really?
That's amazing. Yes. And that was, like I said, this was completely anime only. You did not get this in the manga. So that was just mind blowing to me. Because as soon as I saw the silhouettes, I was like, I know who those two people are. I know who they are. They will appear.
Nice. So, but it was nice getting a backdrop on kind of the general villains that will be fighting, instead of like one of them coming up and then potentially taking screen time away from the heroes. It's like, we get it all at once. We know what's going on. And then we actually get to the sand battle afterwards. Like, it was a long beginning talking about the Hitman squad.
I don't know.
And so we get to the actual fight, which with Narantia slowly shrinking, and not noticing. And what do you guys think about the first part of the fight?
It felt more or less like I felt like Naranti was kind of like on the offensive, while Formaggio was on defense. But then after like the battle kept continuing onward, it felt like Formaggio was actually like on the offense, and then Naranti was on defense. So it's like a back and forth. It was just like a one-sided fight. It was like either one could have won throughout the entire fight. And
well,
I like those kind of fights.
Yeah, well, because Narantia's stand is great for a whole ton of stuff. I mean, the carbon dioxide tracker is, I mean, that's just OP. Like, man, that's nuts.
Right.
So like, mainly it's offense, but he can also scout with it. He has a certain amount of skills he can use.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you look at
some of the earlier fights from JoJo's.
And you look at a guy like Formaggio, and he's all about, well, I make myself small and I make other things small, but mostly he's dealing with his own size and putting himself in situations because he's like, okay, I know I can injure myself, and I know I can grow, and I know I can like staunch bleeding and heal and stuff like that. But he also has to deal with the time limits of his own stand, apparently, because Narantia does eventually get larger, because it wears off, doesn't it, after a certain amount of time? Or I didn't quite catch how that worked, but I believe it works for it. The effects last for a certain amount of time.
I think in terms of the shrinking or growing, it's at his own will.
Yeah.
So he's the one that decides, or until like kind of he can't hold it together anymore. Like it, from what I saw, it's when he decides to grow it big, it'll go back big, or until his stand is like too injured enough to be able to do anything, or himself too injured enough to kind of hold focus whatever little he needs.
Yeah, as we saw in like later on in the
in the next episode, especially at the end of this one where he was writing the rats towards the end because Narantia was just blindly shooting, and then when it got a lock on him, he just grew big to kind of counteract Aerosmith from shooting him or doing any more damage, because at that point Aerosmith was not even shooting BB pellets at him anymore.
Yeah, basically, it was the strikes wasn't strong enough to actually kill him. It was just enough to kind of graze him a little bit in the head, maybe.
But still, like, it was a nice clash of stands, and again, like, the season is done. A change of pace from just the Aura fights we were so used to in stand fights. It's more strategy, more different styles of actually fighting.
Yeah.
And you do get to see the people's personalities really come forth in how they fight.
Oh yeah.
And it's cool that, you know, as much as we see Narantia as this scrappy, you know, punk who will kick your ass, and he's really bullheaded and violent and you know, a hothead, a fighter. He knows when to pull it back and put things together and strategize, and he ends up doing that.
Oh yeah.
Whereas with Formaggio, we've got a dude who's, you know, his thing was he never stopped moving.
Nope.
And I think it's cool that so much of his stand his ability was him, you know, Toy Storying himself, for lack of a better word.
Pretty
just
much.
shrinking down and running around and stuff. It's just,
though most people say
I don't know.
It's reference.
It's really interesting stuff.
Oh yeah. So that was the first episode.
Yeah, that was episode 10. We're doing Kinda. We missed a week, but we're in a good spot because this was a two-parter.
Yes.
So we're kind of doing them both at once today.
Yes, and so
Yeah.
after Bumagio grows himself back up to be big, we get the next episode, which starts off right where this one left off, a little bit of a flashback, or not really flashback, but like recap, and then we go into the fight again. And yeah, what do you guys think about Narantia's past?
Like, man, like it always like I always feel bad for like characters who have just a crap luck when it comes to just them dealing with things in general. Like and you can also tell the naivety like of Narantia because like he has a crap he had a crap life. His mom passed away. His dad's not really like a good like just not really there like to kind of be a good support for him. And the fact that he has to like rely on people who aren't really trustworthy and gets easily manipulated into being tricked and just they keep taking advantage of that is just really messed up,
Yeah, I really like Narantia as a character. And it explains a lot as to why he would be mad, as to why he pops off at people. Because he's like, don't underestimate me. You don't know how much of my life I spent trying to be good for someone else who didn't care for me. And like, it's sad that like he has this falling out with his father like that.
Yep.
And like I thought it was really kind of really touching when he had that moment, where Bruno says, what the hell are you doing? Get out of here. Don't join a gang. You should go to school. He's mad at him, but he's like, no, don't throw your life away getting involved in crime, kid. You can be something more than this. And it's like,
you could die.
Yeah, and it shows Bruno does care about people, and it's like, dude, if he's turning you away, he's doing it because he doesn't want to see you fall down the path he's on. And it makes me wonder more about Bruno, too, to see where he's been and to see where everyone else has been. And, like, I have some insider stuff on one of the other characters. I'm not going to say Fugo.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say anything about that.
but
like,
you're gonna, it's gonna be really good when we get to
that. But like, it really does show there's a lot of character going on with these people, and that if they seem a certain way, it's because they've been through things and they have experiences.
Yep. Like with Mista with his encounter with the sexual abusers and killing them, and then you have Giorno dealing with stepdad and mom, etc. And whatnot.
No, it was it was interesting for me. It's them cutting to Narantia's past, and it seems like they're kind of doing a little bit of a fight and then cutting into the past, unlike the past few gang member episodes where they just started with the flashback and then moved forward. So it changed up the pace a little bit, and losing your mother already puts a little damp, like, will already make you feel shitty, and getting betrayed by your best friend or your supposed best friend, like, that's just rough. That would make someone feel kind of worthless.
Oh yeah. And
so when he has that kind of, I'm indebted to this guy, to Bruno, for giving him the money for the eye surgery. It's school's not for me. I want to help you as best as I can.
Well, and plus he probably knows, like, I've spent too much time on the street. I've been involved in gangs too much. Like, I know he probably knows, what, I'd probably always just fall back into this. I'd get tired of school. I'd just want to come back into this.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, I may as well live that life with a purpose
Mm-hmm.
and fulfill my debt.
And anyone who passes Pol Pot's test, you're in the gang. Like at that point, there's nothing Bruno could do to stop him.
Exactly.
So we cut back to the fight, and let me tell you, I already don't like spiders as it is. They creep me out.
Oh my god, this episode.
So when he threw him in the bottle with the giant spider, I just kind of skin crawling moment. It was like that spider from Kong Skull Island all over again.
Much cringe.
Just like, oh, get out of there, boy.
Yeah, no, I'll admit I was really hoping that Aerosmith would get even tinier and fly into the bottle, and he would just fly out on it. I kept wanting Narancia to get onto Aerosmith, and then I realized, wait, it's not that kind of Stan. Stans don't do that.
No.
I just think it'd be really funny to watch Narancia fly around on Little Bomber or Aerosmith. I do. I think the name Little Bomber is kind of cute.
Little Bomber's actually pretty good.
I would probably get a tattoo of Aerosmith and have it say Little Bomber with a heart.
Have the Aerosmith kind of logo, but put Little Bomber instead.
Yes.
Like on the side of it, like how planes have their like little writing on the side of it. That'd be awesome.
Yes.
Definitely. Oh, give me 1 second. Keep talking though.
So yeah, it's interesting. We see all of this stuff with Narancia and his backstory when he's in a huge bind. He's getting stepped on. He's got a bit of a kaiju issue, I guess you could say. And I'll tell you, I was at the edge of my seat right there. I was like, because again, I haven't read the manga. I'm like, oh no, how is he going to get out of this?
Mm-hmm. Like his stand isn't really effective anymore because of how small he's gotten.
Yeah.
Dude is just too big for him to fight at this point. And so I'm like, what is he gonna do? Or what has he done to get out of this?
Right.
And then he gets tossed in the bottle with the spider.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got we've got Clash of the Titans.
Mm-hmm. And then, getting to the point where he's almost getting eaten. Like, it was a pretty tense episode. And then he did the smart thing, or my strategy when playing a stealth game. Blow everything up.
Yep, aim for the cars.
That's
what I do in Fallout. If I know there's trouble out there, I aim for the cars.
Getting chased by a Deathclaw, blow everything up.
Yeah.
Mutants giving you trouble, blow them all up.
Hear a ghoul moving around.
Blow
Set that parking lot on fire.
Recreate Apocalypse Now and remind them what going kaboom can do to them.
Yes.
And
so, he lights up that car, blows it the heck up. Breaks the bottle, he gets out. Brilliant thinking on my part, on his part, honestly, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. It's like, my bullets still aren't hurting this guy, but earlier I already hit the gas tank. Little bit, you don't need that much to set off something that a gas tank that's already open.
Is get one spark to ignite the vapor of gasoline and boom.
Goes dynamite.
Yep.
A big, glorious kaboom. So he goes back big. Fumagio goes back down to kind of try to hide from him because at this point, he already has the information he needs. Because he got the map, and Narancia, not being the smart one, basically drew where he had to go back to. So he kind of...
he's 17 and probably doesn't know how to... He probably doesn't actually know how to drive.
No, I mean, it was already established that he's not the brains of the operation. And so at that point, if you're Narantia, you're like, well, I can't let this map be out in the open. Might as well make it go up in flames. And if I'm taking out this rival gang gang member who is part of a group that's coming after my guys, two birds, one stone at that point.
And then I really like what Narantia says is he's like, well, since I can't track you down, I'm just going to set the whole street on fire.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to light up this whole block and you will have nowhere to run.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was digging it. Like one of my buddies said, she really, really knew that I was going to love Aerosmith. Because it's the plane from the arcade classic Raiden. It's a little red plane with huge bombs and infinite machine guns,
Mm-hmm.
and it can see your breath. And, unless you're really good with your stand, if you're some average schmo, you're not standing up to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the hands of an angry little gremlin of a guy who doesn't take shit from anybody.
Oh yeah, and
sorry, I had to gush about Narantia.
Oh, you're good. I mean,
No,
gush away all you want. He's a good character so far. So, street's on fire, and we get that last shot of those two about to go one-on-one.
And that glorious backdrop, the flames just.
The flames just engulfing everything. It's like
I love the color. I love the color palette swap too for that too.
It was good. It was really good. And so basically, it comes down to who can draw their stand quicker to finish this fight. And we know we know both of these guys have had their stands for a while, but man, Narantia just a little bit quicker and proves the old saying: you don't bring a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I really liked how he had his arms out and he's like, I'm just going to have my stand skid along my back, stop short.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, what I think Formaggio's biggest mistake was he forgot it's a plane.
Yeah.
Planes can fly and touch down and they can aim and they can move in ways that your stand can't.
Nope. Like, you may be close, that's fine. It's still a bullet that's being fired at you.
Yeah.
And unlike Mista, Narantia does not seem to have that limitation of ammo, because goodness gracious, he shot a lot of bullets.
Yeah.
And he showed no sign of running out anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he Swiss cheesed the heck out of him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He went inglorious B word on him.
Yeah.
So we get to the end of the episode finally, and they learned, hey, these guys are going to be onto us now, regardless if we try to, even if they don't have the map, they'll be able to find us eventually. We need to move to a different safe house. And we get the setup for the next episode because, Bruno learned, probably not a good idea just to send one person out now. So we might finally be getting our Fugo episode now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I've heard a lot of people are pumped for that to happen.
It's
time to see what Purple Haze is all about.
That, and the thing with Naranti's backstory is it's like a pebble compared to what Fugo went through.
Oh.
Yeah.
But don't tease us too much, Anthony.
Oh no, I won't. But yeah, I'm just gonna say this right now. Fugo did nothing wrong. you'll look at the episode and be like, wow, he actually was telling the truth. He didn't do anything wrong.
So yeah, those are the 2 episodes. Final thoughts on the episode, battle, characters, animation. Anthony, we'll start with you.
The episode itself was just like, I like the fact that they actually give us backstory on the villains, because we kind of got that in the manga, but it was just like a smaller panel. You have to like just skim through it, and that was it. But here you actually get like real, like, just you actually get to see how they all look, and like, they don't tease like, oh, this person is this person, and we're gonna hide them in the shadows, and then we're gonna show these people. No, they show the full entire team, and they do a silhouette for 2 characters, but that's only because they're not part of that team. They're like a completely different team altogether. But they do work for the boss, so it's like, just following orders. But yeah, like, I do like the fight between Lancia and Formaggio. I love we're getting the backstory of these characters as their fights continue, because it's really good storytelling, because they've done that in several series I've seen. I won't mention any here, but I'll just just using that as an example.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely a good episode.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I was already done.
Me next.
You next.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Yeah, great fight. One of the best fights I've seen in JoJo's so far. Really liked that they chose the moment they did to pull Narancia's story out when he was in a serious bind. Really digging the fact that David Pro is adding all of this stuff in. It's making me want to dig up and start reading to figure out what's different, or maybe just talk with someone. I don't know, because I don't want to spoil. I almost don't want to spoil myself, but I'm really enjoying watching the anime version of 5. 5 is really pulling me in, and I would say that 5 is probably going to be up there with 4 as far as my favorites.
Right.
It's the characters more than anything. For the anime, it was characters and like design, like storytelling and design and transitions and the art and like how they were setting all the episodes up. And now 5 is just blending that together and perfecting everything, and they're doing more, and it's making me really excited to see what David Pro. I'm always excited to see what they do. So David Pro, keep up the good work.
Definitely. But these 2 episodes, like establishing the next group of villains that you're gonna fight, like very good. That way, they don't have to waste time telling us what their motivation is in like each episode that a new person gets put in. We know what their main motivation is. They're out to get the boss. They want the cash. Great focus on Narancia. Like the animation, especially in the second half or in episode 11 between Formaggio and Narancia, like at the end, was beautiful. And honestly, like, good set of episodes. I bring on the next member of Bruno's gang. Like, I want to learn more about them. We've gotten everyone except Fugo, so I can't wait for it. But that's going to wrap up this episode. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll catch you all next time as we discuss episode 12. But until then, this has been Anime Secrets Bizarre Adventure. Say good night, everyone.
Later.
Good night, everyone.